So, the next subject or topic.
So I don't know what everybody is thinking about when it comes to adoption. I know that for me, children are always have been a part of my life, and I really, me and my husband has been, trying to have children. There are women out there that struggle with having children. So I saw something this morning for all those Duck Dynasty, people like myself that like to watch the commercial. I saw that they had adopted a child. This child, was of age. So, but someone in his family member had just adopted a black child. So me and my husband was talking, and I'm like, well, that would be, that's so nice. At least somebody is giving a child, a chance at a better life. Going through system to system can always be dramatic to a child. We never know what type of family the child is being taken to. A lot of children are being abused in different foster care homes, which causes a mental breakdown in a child. Okay. So when I'm looking at their family, I'm like, wow, the family, of course, is Caucasian, which, I just put that out there just for discussion. And, they're a family, they're a Christian based family. Keep that in mind. They do pray before they show and after the show, as well as they come from money. So me and my husband was having a discussion about, how racism kind of comes into effect. And he didn't really understand why, a Caucasian person wanted to adopt a black child, knowing the racist remarks against African American or black people. So what do y'all feel about that when it comes to adoption? I feel like, I understand racism. I understand white and black. It's been there for years. People can't let it go. That's the thing. That's the problem. And I feel like a lot of people cannot let racism go. I understand racism is taught in a home. You're not born with racism. Let's put that out there. You're not born with racism. You're taught. Okay, you are taught. But at the end of the day, children are out there that need a good home. And if the good home is able to provide for the child, what's wrong with that? Now, another thing that I've noticed is that our Black people or African American people, I don't see a lot of us adopting children. Better yet, if we do adopt, I never see our African American people adopting a Caucasian person. So, what is y'all's feel on adoption and interracial adoptions?
Amelia, you want to go first? You want me to go?
You can go ahead.
All right. So, my first thought on this is because I deal with a lot of families who have adopted children as a therapist, is that if one knew the adoption process, they would know that it is not something to be taken lightly. You
Mm,
have to go through the rigmarole to adopt a child. Not only just the legal papers, but your background, tests. Um, a married couple, and a healthy married couple are more likely to adopt a child than a single parent because they want to think about, okay, what's the longevity of your life? Like if you're a unhealthy, big woman or man, they automatically assume your life expectancy is shorter. So, we have to factor all that when we're thinking about why aren't there more people adopting? Well, that's one of the biggest reasons there. A lot of people are not allowed to adopt based off of those factors. Two, you got to come into the money aspect. They're not only looking at you adopting for everything I just described, but you also have to have some form of money to pay for it and maintain the child. You're more likely to get a child who has issues like medical issues or mental issues because, of course, there's a lot of kids out there that have this and they need to place them somewhere more than a foster home. You know what I mean? And you're more likely to get the help from the government to take care of their mental or their health needs. But what family, just thinking typically, would want to bring in a child who has a lot of issues that they weren't experiencing before unless they're that special family who don't mind dealing with those things? You know what I'm saying? So that's already three things I named right there that are like one of the reasons. Okay, and then you want to add on racial context? Like, why? You know, African Americans, people of color, have to deal with so many things running shorter in the race as it is. Then they adopt a Caucasian kid who, even though they're adopted through them, still has more privilege than they do. You know what I mean? Like, how does that work? And then when you think about a lot of African American families, like, we're still trying to bring each other up.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to go look to adopt a child, I'm going to look for a black child. Like, and I'm talking about them. I'm not saying necessarily me, but I can imagine this is how these people are thinking, because who else is looking to uplift us at this point? Who else is looking to save us at this point? If the racism and everything that you're talking about is real, you know, yes, there are people picking up, black children, you know what I'm saying, but not many. You know what I mean? So those are some of the things I thought about when you were talking about that, but I'll let Mill say what she was thinking.
Um, I have seen it. I have gone and worked at different places, and I've seen um, Caucasian women with black children, black girls especially. And I'm like, what are you going to do for her hair? Or, how do you take care of this child without. Well, here's the thing. Sometimes I have a group of friends and they think, Caucasians, they adopt African Americans out of sympathy because of everything
Do that.
that has happened. As an adopt a black child and I'm raised
So Mill, you're
him.
breaking up, so we are not picking up what you're saying.
Oh no, am I back?
You're back
Yeah.
now.
Okay. What did you hear last time?
Say it again.
Okay. So I have some friends, and we were discussing about how we notice how Caucasian families adopt black children. And I feel as though they have sympathy for us because of what happened in the past. And so they want to make things right. They
Mm-hmm.
want to make things right and adopt a black child and say, okay, I want to give them a better life. They might.
You're breaking up.
Oh no, Mill, your signal's not good today.
Am I back?
You're
Yeah.
back now. Whenever you get into
The
talking like
internet just don't
really,
want me to be great.
I
Am I
guess
back?
not.
Oh, connections lost.
Oh no. Yep.
So this is the technical difficulties that we will probably experience. We are an unusual podcast. We are not all in the same place. Now, physically, Maya and Jamila are in Tennessee, but I live in Pennsylvania, and we are making this work the way we can do it best. So this is why you see us the way that you see us, and not all sitting in the same room having a conversation. But this works just as good. Hopefully, Mill will be back any minute now. But I guess me and Maya can continue to kind of talk about the subject. Hopefully, in the next few minutes, Jamila will join us back, and we'll continue on with our podcast episode.
Yeah.
But
Well, what we were what we were discussing.
but
Uh,
yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so it's a layered topic when you're considering why black people are not necessarily adopting white children. Not that it's
Mhm.
never happened, that it doesn't happen. It's just not as common as you see other kids being adopted.
Yeah.
And more famously, you'll see superstars adopt like African children and things of that sort, and go from there. It's typically African and Asian. You see a
Yeah.
lot of that as far as superstars go.
I also think that it may be depending on the agency too. I did find out that there was a lot of agencies out there where I think some they can choose like the age of the child, but depending on the child that they receive, it
Mhm.
can be different. And I don't know, and I want to look, and Jamila's coming back in. But I want to also see, as far as the adoption agencies, if there's a particular, I know that they go through homes to make sure that the family is indeed what they're looking for. I know that a lot of circumstances, depending on the child or depending on the family that's wanting to adopt, and I understand that. But I think that people just want a reason to know for everything. I just feel like people always have to have an opinion, and it's always related to racism. And I know that it's an important topic. I know that it's always going to be in the back of people's minds, but there are generally good people out there that want to do the right thing. And if that causes them to adopt a child of the opposite, ethnicity, then go for it. But everything doesn't always have to go to racism. And I'll let Jamila go ahead and finish her explanation.
Sorry about that, guys. I had technical difficulties. The Wi-Fi has been acting crazy, and I'm kind of sick of it. The internet just don't want me to be great.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
I'm just really trying right now. It's 2020, and everything has just been hitting the fan. Think of everything. But anyway, like I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, 5G. Um,
Oh.
basically, basically, a group of my friends, we kind of had a discussion about this as well, as far as like Caucasians adopting black children. I think it's out of sympathy that they want to adopt our children, and some of them are wanting to do the right thing and give them a great home, and I don't see anything wrong with that. But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, are you guys celebrating Black History Month with them? Are you giving them the history of their people? I understand, you want to give them a better lifestyle, but are you guys talking about that? Um, do you allow them to embrace that about them? Are you finding the best for their hair technique? Like, are you going to the right people? And I've run into some Caucasian women at Walmart or at the beauty store, and they're like, I have a mixed daughter, and I don't know what to do with her hair. Should I use this on her hair or this? And I'm like, okay.
And the funny thing about that is when you adopt, you're supposed to be culturally competent to
Right.
adopt that child. They make you take a class or classes about the child that you're about to adopt. I know,
Right?
especially for adopting out of China, you have to take a class
Mhm.
about their culture and whatnot. So I'm not sure if they're doing that for other cultures. Again, I have not tried to go through the adoption process myself. Um, to be honest, I don't know if that's going to be an option for me because one, I already don't fit one of the stereotypes. I'm a heavyset woman. You know what I'm saying? Like they already expect my life expectancy to be shorter. Two, I don't make the most money in the world. I make a decent living for me and my child, now. But, adding another child, will I need assistance? It will they want to provide me with the assistance if I
Right.
need it? So there's just a lot to consider when you're considering adoption, and not only that, when you're considering to interracially to adopt a child. So you know that can be a pretty lengthy conversation, I
Yeah.
think. Any lasting thoughts on this topic?
No.
All right, well, we could check that off our list. Close.